Function notation word problems. Erica walked down a trail into a valley. So what we have is the function v and the letter inside is d. So the input is the distance. And then from the top of the valley, after walking d kilometers along the trail. So Erica's vertical distance from the top of the valley was the same after she had walked 2 kilometers and after she had walked t kilometers. After she had walked 2 kilometers along the trail, Erica's vertical distance from the top of the valley was equal to t kilometers. After she had walked t kilometers along the trail, Erica's vertical distance was equal to 2. Well, this one is actually backwards because it's going t and then it's going to the 2. This one is talking about the 2 and then going to the t. This first choice is Erica's vertical distance from the top of the valley was the same after she had walked 2 kilometers and after she had walked t kilometers. Well, this is talking about walking in both. So this is really, too much information here. So we can go ahead and rule that one out. And again, when we look at the other two, B and C, if you look at the order of it, you're going from 2 to T. So B would actually be our best choice. Okay, Alec went for a walk, and we have the function D. So D is the distance and T is the time. So inside of this is the time. And notice for the second half, the second hour was actually longer than the first hour because we have the inequality sign. And what we're saying is this right side here is better. So this right side, the second hour, was better. So the time it took Alex to walk the first half of kilometers is shorter than the time it took him to walk the following half kilometers. The distance Alex has walked after walking for an hour is greater than the distance he has walked after a half hour. The distance Alex walked during the first half hour is shorter than the distance he walked during the following half hour. So really looking at these two, it would either be A or it would be C, because B just sounds bizarre. The distance Alex had walked after walking for an hour is greater than the distance he has walked after a half hour. No, that's just poorly worded there. So we want to look at A or B. So if we go back and look at A, it says the time it took Alex to walk the first kilometer is shorter than the time it took him to walk the following half hour. And now the next one talks about the distance. So the distance Alex walked during the first half hour is shorter than the distance he walked during the following half hour. So right there, that one would actually make more sense because we're talking about the distance between these two. Because we have our time, we know we're dealing with half hour, but we know that this distance here in the second one would be more. So I would go with C. Okay, baby Emily, parents met her height every month. So we have H of T models her height when she was T months old. So this is her height and this is time again. So the sum of Emily's height at 5 months and 25 months old is equal to her height at 30 months. It took Emily 5 months to grow from a height of 25 to a height of 30. When Emily was 30 months old, she was 5 centimeters taller than she was at 25 months old. See, I think B just sounds, bizarre. It took Emily 5 months to grow from a height of 25 centimeters to a height of 30. I think that one's backwards. So I believe it's going to be either A or C. Well, A says the sum of Emily's 5 months and 25 months old is equal to her height at 30. Well, again, that's kind of written backwards. If you look at C, though, however you look at C, It talks about her 30 months old, and then she was 5 centimeters taller than when she was 25 months old. So I believe C actually phrases that function better. So I would go with C. Okay, Aiden, let's see, is a taxi driver, and we're talking about his fees. Now, inside is not the money. This is the number of drives. See, N is the number of drives. So he has 8 drives and he has 4 drives. So the 4 drives actually made more money than the 8 drives. Because remember, the inequality sign is always better. So Aiden earned $8 for fewer drives than the number of drives. But see, it's not money. It's talking about the number of drives. And then it said Aiden earned $8 for a drive that was earlier than the drive for which he earned 4. But again, we're talking saving here. So actually C would be the better choice because Aiden earned less money for his 8th drive because the 8 was his 8th drive than he earned for his 4th drive. Because remember, it's not the money here, it's the number of drives. So I would go with C.